series building, and we do this in support of the Arise Agenda, Happy Hour initiative of the Dr. Moino administration, and the renewed hope for Nigerians of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration at national level. So without wasting time, I want to read out the issues we are going to tackle today. Then as usual, I will give us a little bit of the resolutions that we had on Tuesday, last Monday's edition. So for now, on the front burner is the advocacy we are beginning. It's going to be a series. It is called Stock Taking and Agenda Setting for an Akwa Ibom Without Oil and Reform of the Local Government System in Akwa Ibom State and indeed Nigeria. This is just going to be a starter pack, because subsequently we are going to be bringing in experts in their fields. We are going to bring in people that have opinion, people that have solutions. We don't criticize, we do not attack anybody. We bring possible solutions to the table. So Pastor Moino, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, he tried to implement one of his visions, which has to do with building an 18-story Ibom Towers in Lagos as an investment opportunity for the state to make some money. We will look at that in detail as much as we can, but it's MKO on radio, and that is what we call State of the State and State of the Country. We're going to look at the trial of underaged and malnourished NBAD governance protesters. And the question is, was it a prank by the federal government or a reality show? We're going to look at that, and we are also going to look at the Akwa Ibom Arise Youth Empowerment Portal. There are various schools of thought, but one that we cannot deny is that it's a wonderful, wonderful idea by Pastor Moino. And then there are also issues arising which is considered as bad, and because we don't want anything to suffer, we do not allow propagandists to want to drown good ideas, good suggestions that should be taken in. So we're going to look at that. And on the humanitarian intervention series, you know that every edition, Open Forum, we are a policy ideas bank and the voice for the voiceless. A number of people are vulnerable, including our leaders. So we help the leaders, and we also help citizens who don't have a voice. And today we are supposed to have a young man who has a strange ailment. Unfortunately, he's not here yet. I'm in touch with the mother. He doesn't even have a phone. He's on his way. We just hope he will join us before the program time is out. That young man had a strange ailment. When he comes in, I'll let you into what it was like. And he was actually locked in a room for 12 years. And when he heard our voice on radio, he had access to phone and he called. And I brought him. What I saw shocked me. I hosted him once. Unfortunately, we could not do much. But we don't give up. We don't give up. Those that know us know that we do not give up no matter what. So that young man needs help, and the help he needs just medical attention and possible empowerment to help him pick up his life. And we always have a quote for every week, and today's quote is by President Woodrow Wilson, and he said, "The man who has the time, the discrimination, and the sagacity to collect the principal facts, and the man who must act on them, must draw near one another." Oh, a number of them are there because of what Fayose popularized it, stomach infrastructure. Some of them can never do without free money from government, not because they are productive, but because they have work. He said, you know something? That those that used to snatch ballot boxes for others, they now snatch ballot boxes for themselves, because a number of people who in one position and the other. And what do you expect? Not much. That is why we are where we are. And it becomes a very big problem for whoever is the leader, like the governor or maybe president. A number of them are held hostage by some forces, very small forces here and there, and before you know it, a leader becomes vulnerable. So we are here. I am Citizen Matthew Kofi O'Connor. I am a productive advocate, I'm a reformer, I'm a critical thinker, and I'm the founder and president of Open Forum Care for Humanity Foundation. And we are here to help both the weak and the strong. We are here to help the oppressed and the oppressor. And you ask, how will you help an oppressor? By holding the mirror for the oppressor to behold himself or herself. And by stopping that person, not violently, but bringing something to the table for that person to say that you can do better. And then for the oppressed, we will try and liberate them. It doesn't matter. And we know what it takes to do that. And so, without wasting time, we will go to, first of all, we can do this. We don't have an immediate guest to start off the talk with the humanitarian, to handle humanitarian issue, which is what we normally do before we get started. I want to go straight to dealing with the issue of the trial of the underaged and malnourished and bad governance protesters who were taken to court just a few days ago. And that is something that is really troubling. First of all, we must know that Nigeria is a signatory to a number of conventions, international conventions, and then locally we have the Child Rights Act, which stipulates how certain children or how children should be treated. And without wasting much time, because these are just tidbits, I want to say that the End Bad Governance protest of August 1st to 10 of this year 2024 was actually to end hunger and bad governance. And that protest was a bit controversial because a number of persons could not align themselves to the reality that people can be bold. Yeah, you are hungry. The idea is you don't have to talk, because anything anybody says, if you're not in government, you're attacking government. Incidentally, that protest became more widespread in the western part of Nigeria and in the north. Very exceptional. I will recall that during the NSAS protest, it was terrible. We saw some of these young children. We saw videos of how some persons were driven in a very sophisticated jeeps, and then they got down and destroyed properties, attacked. Has been a reoccurring thing, but the climax had to do when these underage children, said to be between 12 to 15 or maybe higher 17, they are minors, and about 76 of them called accused were brought in, and they were said to have been arrested in Katsina, Kaduna, Kano, and Gombe, and they were brought to court, Federal High Court Abuja, with Honorable Justice Obiora Ogwatu as the judge. And about 4 or 5 of them fell against the IG. I doubt he ever could say such a thing, that they were doing skits, they were pretending to have fainted, because the children were clearly malnourished and unkempt. Very unfortunate sight. But yeah, they were in court. And what are the charges? They were slammed about 10 charges having to do with treason, attempted overthrow of government, terrorism, and mutiny, for having to join a protest, which actually involved looting. We saw it. It was all over. But the interesting thing has to do with the fact that Nigeria has a law, and the judge could not withstand it, and she decided that some of the children that fainted should be given attention to, and adjourn the case till January, sometime in January 20 or thereabout. But then the bail granted is said to be 10 million naira for each. These children are Almajiri children. I don't think those children are even in school, and very disturbing that nobody has said that kind of bail condition and the time extended for them to be retained or remanded in custody was too long and unacceptable. But what has that happened? That has drawn the global attention and condemnations from everywhere. I don't want to name names, Amnesty International, Falana, and others, FIDA. Virtually everybody that has a sense of humanity has spoken against that very sight. It's an embarrassment to Nigeria, and Mr. President, from what we've heard, has stepped in and directed the Attorney General to step into the matter and take over the case. But some of the things we really need to look at has to do with the fact that these children, who are they? If you recall, in 2015, after the general elections, it's up there in the media, you can fact check. One of the frontline northern politicians, Rabi Kwangbanzo, former governor, former minister of Kano State, had said that they had used Almajiris to vote out Jonathan, because Jonathan's wife made a statement that the Almajiris quote was born and threw away. That was quoted and it's up there in the media, and that they had to use them and vote out Jonathan. And people saw nothing wrong with that. That these Almajiri children underage, some of them didn't even have a voters card, but they vote. And unfortunately, it was celebrated that they were useful. During NSAS, we saw some of the things that happened. Even the panel that the federal government said should be set up, was never set up in most northern states because they were not